Welcome to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show looking into all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Today we'll be talking to a number of people about topics of interest and importance to Michiganders just like you. Let's begin with what's making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page. Our top story comes from Hannah McKay at the Detroit News. The Michigan Department of Civil Rights has filed a new set of discrimination charges against the Grand Rapids Police Department. The charges come for the second time in a case in which police allegedly handcuffed 3 minors at gunpoint in 2018, although no crime allegedly had been committed. The Department of Civil Rights also filed 2 separate charges over the summer against the department, both of which had also involved children in the alleged misbehavior of police officials. The boys in this case, held at gunpoint, all identified themselves as being minors, with one even providing identification as well as contact information for their parents before being held at gunpoint and questioned for over 20 minutes. Directly quoted in a quote from this article and an interview done for this article by Hannah McKay. The quote, the Grand Rapids Police Department was unable to show evidence of any white children who were similarly held at gunpoint, handcuffed, searched, placed in a squad car and questioned in response to a 911 call, and no allegation of a crime, and closed quote. These charges reflect now just 2 of the 28 charges against the Grand Rapids Police that are under state investigation. Also making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page from the Lansing State Journal. You see it all the time, a claim that there's a lost animal in your community. If somebody has misplaced their pet, maybe their outdoor cat hasn't turned up back home, their dog heard a loud noise in the backyard when you let them out to do their business and ran off into the distance. Or you even see calls for people that are saying, hey, there's an animal that's been hurt in our local area and is in need of medical attention or some rehabilitative services potentially in your home. Well, Ingham County animal control officials are now warning that these calls may not always be in good faith. They might just be a feeler for scam artists to determine if you are their next target. Said county officials to the Lansing State Journal, quote, scammers use this technique to identify people who may be vulnerable to other scam methods. Scammers are looking for people who like or share without checking to see if it's true on social media. Once someone shares the post, they may be at an increased risk of being a target for future scams, and closed quote. So what should you do in this case? The agency urges you to look for many of the common red flags that indicate that a lost animal notification on social media or calls to help an injured animal may not be true. Are the comments turned off? If they're not allowing you to make comments on the post, they probably don't really care too much that you're engaging with it, asking questions or giving your well wishes. They just want to see, do you share it? Do you like it? Is it something that draws at your heartstrings? Are the posts being made by newer looking accounts or accounts with very few connections, or in the case of Facebook, very few friends listed on their profiles? Is there vague info about the animals, their place of origin, or how they were found in these cases? Any or all of these, especially together, may be signs that somebody is looking to scope out some new targets for scams online in the future, or maybe actively trying to scam somebody like you in your local community. This is not just common to Ingham County. Scam artists are doing these kinds of things all across the state of Michigan and around the U.S. and the world. If you do, however, find a lost animal, it is suggested that you take them as soon as possible to a shelter or a veterinary clinic in order to get them scanned for microchips in case they are a lost animal in these cases, and it can be returned either to the shelter that they were maybe adopted from or the shelter that they are being housed at, or back to the person or the individuals that own those particular animals. And that you'll also be able to file a report about these missing or injured animals with local animal control. In the meantime, stay vigilant and know the signs of these kinds of scams. If it seems suspicious, it probably is. Finally, making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page from Amy Hushka at the Detroit Free Press. A Michigan Lotto 47 ticket was sold recently in Clarkston. Of course, that's no big news. It happens all the time. But what does not often happen is that the ticket that is sold hits the big one and wins $3.73 million. That's exactly what happened when the lucky numbers were drawn recently of 0, 4, 0, 7, 0, 8, 18, 25, and 35 at the Sunoco gas station at 7650 Ortonville Road in Clarkston. This marks the 7th time this year that a ticket has hit the big one in the Michigan Lotto 47, and it's the second largest among those winnings from those victories, trailing a win on MichiganLottery.com back in September. That was $5.42 million compared to this measly winnings of just $3.73 million. So congratulations if you're the lucky winner of this $3.73 million Lotto 47 ticket in Clarkston. Hopefully you pick that up very soon, and do your best to hide your personal info from anybody else that may be trying to get a little bit of that $3.73 million winnings out of your pocket. That's a lot of smackers. It's a lot of clowns. Congratulations. All those headlines today making news on our website, civiccentertv.com, on our local news page, along with links to COVID-19 updates from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention at the federal level, at the state level from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and locally where we originate our broadcast in Oakland County from the Oakland County Health Division. We have a great show ahead on this Thursday edition of the Megacast. Coming up next, we'll have our weekly mental health conversation with the Birmingham Maple Clinic's Carrie Krawiec. Stay tuned. This is the Megacast.
My Michigan TV is streaming everywhere on Apple TV, Roku, Fire TV, and more smart TV apps. My Michigan TV is on your phone too. Take us with you wherever you go. Just search for My Michigan TV on your favorite app store or visit mymitv.com. All Michigan, streaming everywhere. My Michigan TV.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1.
What's happening around you? Hear about state events, businesses, and from the people behind them on the Megacast, an hour-long TV, radio, and streaming show keeping you informed on the day-to-day news. Listen in on talks with volunteer groups, documentarians, and financial advisors, Monday to Friday with your host, Tyler Kieft. Catch the Megacast weekdays from 10 a.m. to 11 on Civic Center TV, 89.3 Lakes FM, and streaming on mymytv.com.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program on civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find information on all of our partnering stations across the state of Michigan, including our co-flagship online, My Michigan TV at mymytv.com, as well as on their free apps for your smartphones and your smart TVs. Just search My Michigan TV in your favorite app store to find us for free on apps across smartphone and smart TV outlets, and watch My Michigan TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, including the Megacast live and on demand as well. Joining us now on the program is Carrie Krawiec, a therapist at the Birmingham Maple Clinic, for a weekly mental health conversation that we have with her each and every Thursday on the program. Carrie, thanks for being with us again today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on with us. This week, let's talk about a really interesting dynamic that happens often in people's dating life, and it's called pocket dating. I'm not familiar with this term, so if you could briefly just explain what this term is and how it can have an effect on people's mental health and, of course, on the way they approach their relationships.
Sure. So pocket dating or pocketing is sort of a, new slang term for something that probably has been around for a while, but it's when someone sort of keeps you in their back pocket or, kind of hides you in their pocket, meaning that You may have a very, what feels like serious dating relationship, but they are concealing that relationship from the rest of their world. So not introducing you to parents or coworkers or friends, keeping their sort of personal, the rest of their personal life separate from this dating relationship.
Well, clearly in a situation like that, Carrie, there's some blockage or there's some concern that hasn't been addressed from that person to the person that they're dating or about that person that they're dating that they're trying to figure out. So what are some of those common motivations or what may be the common motivations behind somebody pocketing, so to speak, somebody they're dating?
So I think first and foremost, it probably isn't always a bad thing. If you're the receiver of being pocketed, there's a chance that you might feel somehow shame or insecurity that you're so not good enough to be introduced to the friends or family, but just as likely could be the reverse, right? That the person is feeling protective of you in the relationship and not sure that they would be supported by the people in their personal life. So certainly probably anxiety is one of the most common reasons. Uncertainty, certainly if there are other failed relationships or if there's family expectations about marriage or things like that, they may be trying to protect you and themselves and the relationship from those pressures. Certainly, there's probably some more selfish reasons. Like I said, the sort of keeping you in the back pocket, meaning, is there some ambivalence about the relationship? Are they perhaps dating other people and kind of keeping you selfishly on the hook for a rainy day, which would also be exceptionally hurtful, especially when the feeling is not mutual. So, like on the positive side, if two partners in a relationship agree and agree for the same reasons. We want to keep this private. We don't want the influence of other people in our personal lives. Let's together agree to sort of stay in our little enclave with our relationship. When two people come to a shared conclusion, shared meaning, then it's sort of an okay behavior in the relationship.
And so for those that are also, and again, going back to those that would be in this case pocketing somebody that they're dating, as you said, it may be for protection of that relationship they have with this person, or protecting them maybe from some of the judgment of others in their lives that they're not entirely sure would be welcoming to them just yet. And one of those scenarios that I would think this would be common in is someone that is maybe in their first relationship that is not as outside of what have historically been societal norms, but have become much more normative in recent times, like someone that's maybe having someone that's maybe in the LGBTQ plus community. That is that a community of people where pocketing may be maybe more common than in other areas and other communities in our society.
Sure, I don't know the incidents, but I'm certain that that would play a role if there was some anxiety about, say, for example, coming out in your personal life. If you weren't ready to do that, certainly introducing the dating partner would be the flag that, like, the rest of your family would know. And if you weren't out, you would probably be more likely. Now, certainly in LGBT relationships, just like any others, there are hurt feelings. Some people are in different places, like you said, in their sort of outness and their readiness. And so, in a relationship, I think one of the best things you can do is, instead of coming accusatory, instead of pointing the finger and say, like, you're hiding me and these are the reasons why, or you're weak and you're not standing up for us or our relationship, instead to come from a place of curiosity and compassion, right? What's driving this? Like, this is what I'm noticing. This is how I'm taking it. Am I right or wrong to take it this way? And be sort of gentle with your observations will certainly be more well received. And in the relationship, if there's sort of communication, then that would be right, an opportunity to get on the same page and maybe perhaps create a plan together about moving forward. Not an ultimatum like, you need to tell your family about me by Christmas or something. That's not going to go well. But, just gently, like, look, like, I'm ready for our relationship to be more known to the people in my life and yours. Like, what's our plan for how to make that happen?
And especially early on, that communication, as far as these relationships branching out to other areas of your social life and certainly your family life too, are really key. And so in this scenario, I would imagine in these sorts of scenarios, I would imagine too, it's really important to, if those alarm bells are going off for you on the other side, if you're the person in this case being quote unquote pocketed but by this person you're involved with, to try to investigate and with that person, figure out what is the motivation behind this. Is there motivation behind this, or is this just simple nerves that we can maybe work through and figure something out? For those that may be in this case being pocketed, uh, how might this affect them and their approach to this relationship if that communication hasn't been there? But if that communication is there and maybe they're not being introduced for one reason or another, how could it potentially affect them and their approach to this other person that they've become much more involved with?
Sure. I mean, I think like so often in dating, the present dating culture I call very like disposable, right? It's almost like, if you're dating multiple people and if one doesn't work out, you just kind of like return and, order, like I call it like fast fashion. It's like buying something on Amazon. You're like, oh, don't like it, send it back, try something new. And so I think people are very anxious in their dating relationships. They feel very fragile, right? Is it like, I want to be dating, I want to be finding a partner, but at any point is a sign that this is no good, then either I have to go back to the well or they do. So I do think that when people want to sort of talk about these deeper things, they feel so anxious. They feel that any conversation has the potential to just break the whole house of cards down, which is really disappointing because, of course, it's those same conversations that really build the foundation of a healthy relationship. Certainly, because people who are dating in this present dating culture too have had these like frequent and repeated rejections, even if they can also agree the relationship wasn't good for them, they just don't like the feeling. And so, even feeling like you're being pocketed may evoke hurt, shame, anxiety, all these things that might increase your intensity. So I would certainly say in the moment that like a person's, maybe you get the indication and you're feeling kind of intense anger, frustration about it, is probably not the moment to discuss it. Probably in a time when things are calm and private, is like, hey, what's going on here? What's happened in your past relationships? How has introducing dating partners been in your family or friends? Or, what have you seen? Have your siblings introduced someone and it went terrible? And is that what's holding you back? Use these as a time really to get to know someone, and also get to know for yourself if this is a relationship you want to be in or not. I mean, if the person's approaching you with defensiveness and excuse and you're getting that behavior over and over, there's a good chance that like perhaps this is indicative of their behavior and not just about the issue of pocketing.
And those alarm bells start to go off, and it's not necessarily something that means you need to be running and escaping from this relationship. That seems to be, in some cases, the status quo today. That's a point to make that conversation happen, and to have sometimes those tougher conversations, but like maybe those tough to initiate conversations with your partner and address these issues. I would imagine too, in some cases, people would prefer to be pocketed for a little while after they enter these relationships, especially when today we do see also with the advent of social media and how critical that plays a role both in initiating dating in modern society, but also in the way that it is portrayed outward from these relationships to other connections in people's lives. That you may want to wait, and people that you're with may want to wait a little bit before they are presented as having that connection with you, to make sure that they are actually going to be in your life and not just the person that pops up and when you're done with them, you're done with them.
Right. Right. And so often nowadays too, I think the best thing is having communication about like sort of the kind of dater you are and sort of your kind of dating identity, what's happened to you before and what your plans for dating are. Is it sort of casual? Are you looking for something serious? Because I think, like you said too, I mean, it's very easy also to get outed in term, not just, as a person in the community, but outed as, I mean, you could tell someone you're not dating and then you're appearing in social media pictures with someone or whatever else. There's lots of opportunities for assumptions and conclusions to be drawn. The best opportunity, like I said, would be to go in with the situation with curiosity, so that you can build that like sort of trust and sensitivity for the person and decide if this person's presenting to you honestly where they're at, is that who you want to be with? If they're telling you where they're at and they're kind of showing you with their behavior and that's not for you, then it's a perfect opportunity to say, look, like I think we want different things, which is absolutely okay.
Joined by Carrie Krawiec, a therapist at Birmingham Maple Clinic. On today's edition of the Megacast, you can get more information and get in contact with the professionals at the Birmingham Maple Clinic by visiting their website at birminghammaple.com. Birminghammaple.com is their website for more information, as well as to schedule consultations and appointments. Carrie, not every relationship begins or becomes that official long-term thing or even medium-term thing at the same time or follows that same path. So for those that are entering into these relationships or feel like they're about to enter into a longer standing relationship, when should they be initiating these sorts of conversations about when are we an outward thing and when is this not between the two of us, and or address these issues that they may have with either pocketing somebody or being pocketed?
So I would say that like intimacy and vulnerability are something that should grow over the course of a relationship. So certainly revealing your anxieties or intentions is going to feel pretty deep early on. But I think so it's probably just like in small, gentle ways, almost like I don't know, like Hansel and Gretel, like breadcrumbs along the way, is like kind of stringing things from one event to the other. So it's not just a one and done conversation. You may start it in a little bit, and then there might be another opportunity to say, hey, look, about this thing you said the other day, it made me curious about this, and kind of just continuing to sort of leapfrog it forward, little leaps at a time. Going too hard, too soon, too fast is going to be overwhelming to the other person, and withholding altogether is inauthentic too. So little bite-sized pieces, little opportunities to reveal something about yourself and ask something about them. That kind of reciprocity, that kind of back and forth, is really the foundation of intimacy and connection.
And once you have made those decisions or you've had those conversations and come to some sort of consensus or compromise on where you're at with your relationship, how you are presenting that relationship to other people in your life, your family, your friends, the communities that you're involved in, what are your suggestions for these individuals then and these couples then to continue those conversations as they get going? Because once you're out and about and this is something that's out in your small community and your connected community, it's something that continues to evolve. Those conversations should continue.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes I use the analogy of like, our life is a little bit like climbing up a spiral staircase. Sometimes we feel like we've come to the same place, but we're there a little bit different, perhaps from a little bit different perspective than we were once before. So yeah, I would consider, that like, right, we may have had this experience before, perhaps you didn't introduce me to your coworkers early on, but now we're in a different environment and you didn't introduce me again. Was it the same reason? Was it something about the person? Was it something about me? Kind of revisit it. You can connect it to the same thing, like how is this time different than before, or what's happening now that makes this behavior make sense. Like before, you weren't introducing me because we weren't serious enough. You didn't want your overzealous family to like lob onto our relationship, but now we are serious and you're still not introducing me. Is it the same reason or is it something else now? And see if you can come up, I think, with like shared meaning. I think the most damaging thing in the relationship is when one person is exacting decisions, when one person is making the choices, when one person is deciding what will be done and how, then there's a real power differential between the people. Then one person is sort of held hostage to the other person's will. And it really needs to be shared to be a healthy relationship anyways.
You can get in contact with Carrie and the other professionals at the Birmingham Maple Clinic by visiting their website, birminghammaple.com. It's birminghammaple.com for more information, as well as how you can schedule a free consultation, get in contact with them and their professionals as well. Carrie, a couple more minutes with you before we'll need to move on today. Anything else on this issue that we haven't discussed that would be important for our audience to keep in consideration?
I think that one of the biggest challenges of dating in the present day too is that there seems to be a high anxiety about time. That like if we're in a relationship that isn't necessarily satisfactory, then we're wasting our time. And that hurriness and impatience, I think, is not really good for a fundamental of a relationship. And that even if a relationship is somehow unsuccessful or doesn't yield the long-term goals that you had, perhaps don't consider it a waste. Consider it an opportunity to exercise some of these skills, to learn more about what you want and how to discuss it with other people, and take that pressure of time off yourselves and the other person. It's just really not helpful, and does not create a calm environment for a relationship to grow.
Carrie, I always appreciate you joining us and diving deeper into some of these different issues, and appreciate your insight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Glad to have you on, as always. Carrie Krawiec from the Birmingham Maple Clinic with us on today's edition of the Megacast. You can get in contact with Carrie and her colleagues at the Birmingham Maple Clinic by visiting their website at birminghammaple.com. We'll take a break on the Megacast. On the other side, we are in the thick of the holiday season, just a little bit over a week until we get to Christmas. And then right after that, a few days later, we get to the end of the year and the New Year holiday as well. And that means probably having a lot of get-togethers with friends and family over the next couple of weeks, and maybe bringing in a whole lot of food from your local market, including some catering. What should you be looking for? How should you be reading the labels as you get ready to prepare some of this food? And what services can be provided by your local friendly family market right here in the Oakland County area? We'll be joined next by Jeremy Ortiz from Bush's Fresh Food Market on the Megacast.
Hey Laker fans, do you know a friend or neighbor that volunteers in Greater West Bloomfield? We would love to help you recognize them at the 51st Annual Michigan Week Awards. Countless members of the communities of Orchard Lake, Kego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and West Bloomfield give their time and talent daily without regard for recognition. You can help recognize these individuals and organizations at our awards breakfast next year on May 12, 2023. Nominate your neighbor or organization starting January 28, 2023. Go to michiganweek.org for details.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program by visiting civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information as well as links to all of our partnering TV, radio, and web outlets that join us every day live from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Monday through Friday, as well as live to tape throughout the week and the weekend for replays as well, including different outlets such as radio outlets, 89.3 Lakes FM, live streaming on lakesfm.com, and 88.1 The Biff out of the Birmingham Bloomfield area, service of the Bloomfield Hills School District, and all their original programming from students, from high school students, from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock, Monday through Friday, as well as sporting events. Last night, I was working on a production for our flagship Civic Center TV and driving through town, just happened to flip over to 88.1 FM and listen to some of the Bloomfield Hills Blackhawks basketball game from last night. They had a great call on that game. The students there are doing excellent work, and you can join them for all their live programming and original programming throughout the week, as well as other programming 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by clicking on our link to 88.1 The Biff, and explore all of our other partnering stations as well. civiccentertv.com/megacast. You'll also find our full episodes and each individual interview on demand. Joining us now on the program is Jeremy Ortiz from Bush's Fresh Food Market, a local market that's providing a number of fresh produce and other products right here in our local community, with several locations in Lower Michigan and Southeastern Michigan, and also providing some catering and other options for you and your holiday celebrations this season. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning, Tyler. Thank you for having me. How are you?
Doing well. How are you, Jeremy?
I'm pretty good, thank you.
So we're through one of the major holidays. Thanksgiving now has come and passed, but still very much the busy season for you and your team at Bush's Fresh Food Market as we head out of November and into December, a month that certainly has its fair amount of holiday business. So for a grocery store and a grocery chain like yours in the local area, especially, how do you adjust your operations during the holiday season, and how does that make what you do day to day and what your team does day to day as opposed to throughout the rest of the year?
Yeah, Tyler, that's a really good question. I can tell you that a lot doesn't change from an operational perspective, minus the fact there's a lot more stuff coming in and a lot more work being done. The operation's still the same, but preparing for the holidays for us, we get things, typically a couple of weeks in advance, depending on the types of products, so we can get everything set up roughly the week or 2 weeks beforehand to market and advertise and merchandise and things around that we know the guests in our communities are looking for specifically. You just mentioned that Thanksgiving just passed, and we hope that everybody who shopped at Bush's had an enjoyable time. And right around the corner is Hanukkah and Christmas. So a lot of the same things are going to be going on. You're going to see a lot more associates in the stores. There's going to be a lot more seasonal products, merchandise throughout the stores as soon as you walk in throughout the entire part of the actual stores. And then also just the guest service. We try to make sure that we turn up the guest service within our stores during the holidays to make sure every guest is receiving everything that they actually need. So from our part, it's just more work to get everybody to where they need to be in the stores, but also making sure that we're paying more attention to our guests and helping them out with anything that we need or that they need.
And Bush's is also, it's a locally owned chain of stores, and so in that scenario, being that you are a locally owned business and you're not some nationally operated chain, what sort of benefits can the community get from shopping at their truly local market like Bush's?
Yeah, like you said, we've been around for over 40 years now, and we take our keys from our communities. So whatever holidays they're celebrating, whether it's a traditional holiday or a non-traditional holiday or a religious holiday, we try to make sure that we're embedded in our communities as much as possible, working with local partners and organizations, everything from the chamber to local churches and synagogues and places of prayer, and a whole bunch of other things as well, just to make sure that we're on the same page. So the big thing for us is making sure that we're getting the products in that our communities that we actually have stores in need.
We're joined by Jeremy Ortiz, Talent Acquisition Manager at Bush's Fresh Food Market on today's edition of the Megacast. More information on local locations of Bush's Fresh Food Market, as well as all their products and the curbside pickup in as little as 4 hours on the website, bushes.com. That's BUSCHS.com for more information for Bush's Fresh Food Market. Now, being that you're the talent acquisition manager, if people, of course, are looking for work this holiday season, maybe pick up a little bit of extra work to pad their pockets as they get ready for the end of the year holidays. What is your team currently looking for across the board in terms of open positions, and how quickly can someone, if they're looking for a job, get into a really good position with your company?
Yeah, another great question. I can tell you that the turnaround time can be pretty quick. We do orientations Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays of each week. We like to fill those positions as quickly as possible, but we like to make sure we're hiring the right associate as well. So every manager is their hiring manager for each location. The quickest way to go is we have this QR code that's right beside me here. You can scan that and see the actual openings that we have per location. Now, the 16 stores, the 2 offices, and our bakery all have openings, and we're always trying to fill them as quickly as possible. Like I said, we want to make sure that we're hiring the right person in the right place. So whether you're looking for seasonal work, if you're looking for part-time or full-time work, we have those opportunities at most of our locations that we currently have through Southeast Michigan. And Tyler, once you said, or just to reiterate what you said, we are just in Southeast Michigan, and we make sure that we try and take pride in that local aspect of hiring talent as well. So we have roughly, I would say, close to 100 openings across all 16 stores, the 2 offices, and the bakery. All platforms, seasonal, part-time, full-time, and even management positions available across the board. So if you're looking for work, by all means, scan this code here. You can check out bushes.com/join our team. And you can go to any one of the websites that are affiliated with us and check out the text code as well.
Upwards of $17.50 an hour for these positions. More information again can be found bushes.com, BUSCHS.com for more information, as we're joined by Jeremy Ortiz on today's edition of the Megacast, their talent acquisition manager for all of their locations and Bush's Fresh Food Market. And of course, as we get ready for the upcoming holidays and as we've passed the previous holidays, one of the key aspects of getting ready for these celebrations is preparing the food. And that really can start at the grocery store when we think about food allergies, food preparation, food safety, trying to limit cross-contamination. What sort of resources are provided by your company to help provide some of this education to people in our local area and across these 16 locations, as you said, to prepare them for these situations and teach them how to safely compile and prepare and ultimately consume these different foods.
Absolutely. So every one of our associates that handles food on a regular basis goes through a food safety class that has to be reiterated every so often. They can share the means of everything from preparation safety to counter safety and how long things can be left out and prepared, cross contamination, so on and so forth. If you go to any one of our delis or meat and seafood departments or the dairy department, you can ask any one of the associates, the managers, about preparation, about anything that has allergens that contain things that people might be allergic to, whether it be peanuts, shellfish, anything along those lines. But also, if you walk around our stores, you'll see tags and tickets around that let you know specifically how to prepare certain types of meals, whether it be, we'll have a full case up front for meal solutions throughout the week. It changes every single week. And then we also have very knowledgeable associates in the meat and seafood department and deli departments that handle all the prepared foods that we make in the cases and put in the grab and go containers that we have. Everything from rib dinners to chicken dinners to turkey dinners and everything else in between. So all the stuff that you're going to get through holidays for us, whether it be a full turkey dinner for Thanksgiving, which we just went through a ton of turkeys and dinners that people ordered. We'll be doing the same thing for Hanukkah and Christmas. So if you talk to the counter associates that you have where you get the food at, it also has instructions on the boxes that we give out too. But anytime you look at any type of allergen, they will be marked on the back of packages as well.
More information again, bush's.com, BUSCHS.com for more information on Bush's Fresh Food Market, all their local locations here in southeastern Michigan, their products as well as job opportunities, bush's.com for more of that information. And Jeremy, as you mentioned, the catering, as people are getting ready for these holidays, oftentimes they're trying to prepare right up to that last minute. But in the case of catering, what's your suggestion, or at least at the very least your requirements, if they're looking to cater some of these meals, have some of those different dishes or side dishes be prepared in advance?
Yep, cutoff dates are typically 2 to 4 days before the actual holiday, depending on the specific holiday and how many orders that store has. I would tell you the sooner's always better rather than later, just depending on the amount of people that come in or guests that come in and shop. We do get tons of orders with all the sales that we have going on for meat, seafood, and wine sales that are going on this coming week as well. So just be mindful of the time that you're giving the associates to get things around for you. But typically, you'll have that stuff within 24 hours of the holiday to make sure you're getting the preparation, the proper amount of time for preparation. But catering's open year round. It's not just during the holidays. We have everything from we cater everything from just business functions or private parties all the way up to weddings and more.
More information again, bush's.com, BUSCHS.com for more information on all their different locations throughout southeastern Michigan, as well as their products and helpful tips as well. Jeremy, a couple more minutes before we'll need to say goodbye and move along on today's edition of the Megacast. But anything else that we should be keeping in mind right now about your products at your company at the 16 locations across southeastern Michigan, or other topics that would be important for us to discuss and learn more about today?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate the fact that, locally grown, Southeast Michigan born and bred company that focuses on local products. And we carry over 5,000 Michigan branded products in all of our stores, whether you're looking for perishable products or non-perishable products. Obviously, it's not local produce season right now, but once that comes back around, the majority of our produce does come from local farms, anywhere from 5 to 25 miles away, as far as 100 or 150 miles away, sometimes more depending on where it comes from. But a lot of non-perishable products, dairy products, everything comes from the state of Michigan. And you can walk through our stores and see the local logo, which is right here behind me, that's on tickets and tags, shelf tags and more, that show you and showcase where the product actually came from in Michigan. And they typically tell a story about them as well. So we like to keep things as local as possible. And the one thing that sets us apart from others alongside of our guest service is just having available products, but also making sure that we're getting the local products in that our guests are looking for.
Several locations all across southeastern Michigan, from Ann Arbor all the way out to Novi, Tecumseh, West Bloomfield, Plymouth, Pinckney, and beyond. More information, bush's.com, BUSCHS.com. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Tyler. Have a good day. Happy holidays.
You as well, Jeremy, as well as your entire team at Bush's Fresh Food Market across our local area. We know this time of the year for retail and for grocery and other entities that remain open and continue business during this very busy time of the year. It's always a difficult time and a busy time for all of you. So we appreciate everything that you're doing as well. We'll take a break on the Megacast. On the other side, we'll talk to a local automotive instructor in Oakland schools, not just any automotive instructor, award-winning automotive instructor Juwan Willis joins us next on the Megacast.
Watch Civic Center TV with our brand new live captions. To turn on live captions, go to civiccentertv.com and click Watch Live. In your web browser, click on the Options tab in the top right and find the Accessibilities tab. Then just switch on live captions to heighten your enjoyment of our local programming. Thank you so much for watching Civic Center TV.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Keep up to date with us. Find all of our full shows and each individual interview on demand, as well as links to all of our partnering TV, radio, and streaming outlets that join us live and live to tape Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and beyond on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast. Well, you have a lot of different options for learning in the skilled trades and in a number of different technical areas at Oakland Schools technical campuses. And one of the great instructors they have there is now an award-winning instructor. Joining us now on the program is Juwan Willis, automotive instructor at Oakland Schools Technical Campus Northeast and the winner of the 2022 Byrl Shoemaker ASE Education Foundation Instructor of the Year. Juwan, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So first, if you could just give us a little bit of information on your professional background, what ultimately has led you to where you're at right now, teaching others in our local area who are excited about working in the automotive industry, about the ins and outs of working in this historic industry here in our state.
Well, my transition into teaching started from being from extreme poverty and not following the traditional high school path of being there every day. So I went to an alternative school. I was working at McDonald's. A counselor said that if I didn't show up every day, she was going to cost me my job, which was working later in the evening for an extra 50 cents per hour. From extreme poverty, that meant something. I went from not liking her to her communicating with me every single day to make sure I was there, and then finding out who Juwan Willis was, found out I was interested in auto, and she directed me to start my transition into a career pathway in auto. So then that was going into being a lube technician, through a technician, through a master technician, through service manager, through working for General Motors Tech Assist and Chrysler, to seeing an extreme need and making the decision to start working with 11th and 12th graders at the secondary level for some fundamentals that I felt were missing. And that got me here, and I don't regret it. And I'm staying here for the next 30 years, 20 years, however long I can stay.
And it's such an amazing story to hear someone triumph and go into something that they're interested in, and then not only thrive in that area of their life, but also passing that on to the next generation. So for you, Juwan, given that mentorship that you experienced was so critical to you being able to follow this path that you then went on and into the automotive industry, how does that inform your teaching style, your teaching philosophy, and those interactions you have with those 11th and 12th graders you're teaching at Oakland Schools Technical Campus?
So my philosophy can kind of be wrapped up into a couple of things that they get so used to hearing me say. And one is to get more, you must do more. And I usually phrase it like, why should you do more? Well, if you want more, you got to get more. And then the other is a focus on doing what was done for me, meeting every one of my students where they are, not where I want them to be, not where somebody wishes they are, but meeting every student where they are, because that was the only thing that worked for me.
And as you continue to teach them, part of what goes into the education at Oakland School's technical campus in automotive and other technical areas across the board at all their campuses is also providing those industry partnerships too. How much of an element does that play? What type of industry partnerships are established through these kinds of programs, and how much of an encouragement do you have for your students to use these resources that are there for them through this school to not only advance their learning, but also eventually advance their careers if they're so interested in these different fields?
Um, so when it comes to our industry adjacent partnerships for these students, so we have a work-based learning. CT has work-based learning, especially here in Michigan, but we kind of lean heavy off into it. So we partner in with. I'm lucky enough to be able to speak multiple different languages because I was 22 years in the industry before coming teaching. So I still have a big group of dealership partners that there's a need there for students. So they have internships for working under master technicians coming in multiple different ways. And we do that across the county, across the state. Um, but our industry partners are kind of hungry for new talent because of the big age group or the big age gap between current experienced technicians and new entering the industry. So students actually have, they come in and just do the best that they possibly can. They have so many opportunities to get into independent shops, dealerships, even some places that have engineers that are mentoring. There's quite a few opportunities, and I'm going to stick with automotive, but we have, of course, the other programs as well.
We're joined by Juwan Willis, automotive instructor at Oakland School's technical campus, Northeast, on today's edition of the Megacast. Of course, as we mentioned, you were one of 52 automotive professionals that were recognized at the Fall Board of Governors meeting, receiving the 2022 Byrl Shoemaker ASE Education Foundation Instructor of the Year. That's from the National Institute for Automotive Service Excellence. Knowing the effort that you put into teaching and to making these connections with these students who are interested in these particular areas and interested in your CTE program. How does it feel for you to receive this recognition from a national organization for the hard work that you've put in and those relationships that you've built educating these students?
I can sum everything up for that into one word: validation. Coming to secondary and bringing industry principals and post-secondary college level principals in front of 11th and 12th graders, there's a question about whether that age group can perform at that level. So the 10 years I've been here, um, we've been pushing the envelope here at Oakland schools to expose them to as much as they can handle. So it's kind of the validation that it's working, and then um, trying to perform as close to Phil Jackson as possible, creating a couple of Michael Jordans, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, so on, and then making that contagious to where other instructors, other programs, other counties are kind of adopting some of the things that have been proven successful for this age group. So that validation is kind of that's all that always repeats in my mind since being informed of this award.
Going into a program like this and to something like the CTE program, having these opportunities to learn from people that have been in this industry and have found their own path and to build these connections too with industry adjacent partnerships, as you said. What advice do you have then for students as well as their parents if they're interested in a CTE program like this? for themselves or for their child in terms of what they need to prepare themselves for in this program and how to best take advantage of all these different opportunities that are in front of them?
So I'll start kind of in the middle or so. So most technicians may drive 20 minutes to an hour to work. So in a career path associated with automotive, the technician or the student in this case must be intrinsically motivated. So my advice would be to allow the student to get exposure. Come into the program that you're interested in. Come in, visit a couple of times, get familiar with the instructor, pull over to the side and talk to some students that'll give you the background information so that you can make an informed choice after you go through a couple of programs, see which one you want. And then for the parents, um, even if you want your student to be a doctor and they say they want to be a chef, they may cost us a lot of money going down the educational pathway to be a doctor and still become a chef. So for us parents, we have to do that difficult thing of supporting the choices that our students are willing to commit to. But it's that exposure for the students so that they have, so they know what they're getting into and they can commit to it.
Joined on the program today by Juwan Willis, an automotive instructor at Oakland School's Technical Campus Northeast. You can learn more information by visiting Oakland School's Technical Campus's website. That is ostconline.com, ostconline.com, to learn more information about the CTE program and more through Oakland School's Technical Campuses. They have campuses all throughout the Oakland County area, 4 campuses in total: Northeast, Northwest, Southeast, and Southwest. Again, all their information, ostconline.com. Juwan, a couple more minutes with you before we'll need to say goodbye today. Anything else that we haven't discussed that you'd like to say, or other things you'd like to say to the community at this time?
Well, I guess I always like to get my quotes out for one. One of the quotes that I kind of walk by, teach by, coach by, mentor by is um, um, to have the fruit, or to get the one that will have the fruit must climb the tree. One of the Thomas Fullers, and then the one that I came up with, which is it takes a waterfall of experience and strong guidance to um, kind of mess up my own quote all the time because I always want to change it every time. Um, I'm takes a waterfall of experience through strong guidance to mentor a technician. Um, but those are pretty much the quotes, and I still messed up my quote here. But the income level, I would like to communicate about the income level for technicians that are coming out, because we have some students that come out and 1 month after graduation, they're making $23, $26 an hour on their own because they spent a year doing that internship and that mentorship through our work-based learning. That's that industry piece connection, how it helps a student that's interested in a career in automotive spend a year to a year and a half while they're in high school working under a qualified professional, and actually are able to put on their portfolio a full year or more, plus the additional year that they would get for the 2 years in the program, that qualifies them to be ASE certified technicians, service advisors, parts counter people at graduation or within 3 to 6 months after, and literally are able to purchase their own homes and so on within a year of graduation, gain enough articulation credit for an associate's degree within a year after graduation. So some of those things are the high points of this pathway that I have to get out because, again, why should I do this extra unless I'm going to get more?
Well, Juwan, we appreciate you joining us, and congratulations on your national recognition, you as well as 51 other instructors like yourself across the U.S. Congratulations.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it. More information, ostconline.com. That's it for today's edition of the Megacast. We'll return soon with new episodes.